And just like us, dogs can feel a twinge of jealousy when someone new enters their world. Whether it's a playful kitten, a foster dog, or even a visiting pet, they're fully aware of every glance you give, every moment of affection that's no longer directed their way. Instead of sulking or making a scene, they express it through quiet shifts, subtle changes in behavior that are easy to miss. That jealousy doesn't come from a place of bad intent. It's rooted in a simple, honest fear, the fear that the special bond they've built with you might start to fade. They don't think they're being replaced, but they do start to wonder if they still hold the same place in your heart. So, how can you tell when your dog is feeling that silent tug of insecurity? Sign number 1. They suddenly obey less. Your dog knows the rules, followed every cue, and stayed right by your side without hesitation. But suddenly, when another pet walks in, it's like they've forgotten everything. This isn't defiance, it's a quiet protest. A gentle way of showing you they've noticed your attention drifting elsewhere. They're not trying to challenge you or act out. They've simply begun to wonder if their place in your life has changed. It's easy to miss, but this small act of disobedience reveals that they're feeling replaced. They're unsure of their place in your heart, and this subtle shift in obedience becomes their way of reaching out. What they want most isn't control, it's reassurance. Not through words, but through presence. Has your dog ever acted a little off when another pet was around? Sign number 2. They place themselves between you and the other pet. Sometimes your dog won't bark or growl to show how they feel. Instead, they quietly step in between you and the other pet. It's their subtle way of reminding you they're still there and hoping not to be overlooked. Maybe you're petting the cat or playing with another dog, and before you know it, they've gently nudged their way in. They're not trying to start trouble. They simply want to feel included again. That soft nudge, or the way they place themselves between you and the other animal, often comes from a mix of love and a little uncertainty. If they're used to being your number one, seeing someone else in their spot can stir up some uneasy feelings. It's not jealousy the way we usually think of it. It's more about wanting to stay close to the one they trust most. Sign number 3. They try to mimic the other pet's behavior to get your attention. Jealousy in dogs doesn't always come out as growling or shoving. Sometimes it's much more subtle. You might notice your dog start doing things they've never done before, right after another pet gets your attention. Maybe they've never climbed into your lap, but the moment your cat settles in, they suddenly decide to join. Or they quietly drop a toy at your feet right after you've been petting someone else. It's their gentle way of trying to say they're still around and hoping for some love too. They've been watching, noticing what brings your affection, and trying to do the same just to be included. These small, almost childlike gestures are how your dog reaches out, hoping you'll notice that they want to feel just as loved, just as chosen. Sign number 4. They become unusually clingy. Some dogs are naturally cuddly, but when they suddenly become extra clingy, especially after you've been giving attention to another animal, it's more than just affection. It's an emotional response. At that moment, your dog may feel a little left out or unsure of their place. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to small details, the tone of your voice, the way you reach out to touch, even the expression on your face when you interact with another pet. And when they notice those subtle changes, it can make them feel uncertain. So when they stick close to you or shadow your every move, it's their quiet way of needing reassurance, wondering if they're still your favorite. This behavior isn't about being possessive or causing trouble, it's simply a need for comfort and connection. The best way to respond is with calm, gentle affection. A kind word or a soft touch is often all it takes to remind them that they're still deeply loved and that their place by your side hasn't changed. Sign number 5. They mark territory in places they've never done before. When your dog suddenly starts urinating in familiar spots they've always respected, it's not just an accident, it's a message. This kind of marking usually happens when there's a new pet in the picture, someone they see as competition. That scent, left boldly on furniture, doorways, or even your belongings, is their way of saying, "This space is mine. I belong here." It's a signal rooted in emotion, driven by a need to feel secure, seen, and not replaced. They're not acting out of spite. They're trying to reclaim their place in a world that suddenly feels uncertain. Sure, it's frustrating when it happens, but before getting upset, take a step back. What they really need in that moment is reassurance. This behavior is their way of dealing with big changes and trying to find their place in it all. Sign number 6. They start bringing you toys more often. When your dog suddenly gets a little too serious with a toy, hovering over it, shooting sharp looks at the other pet, maybe even letting out a low growl if they come too close, it's not just about playing anymore. What they're really doing is trying to claim your attention. That toy becomes their way of pulling you in and keeping the other pet out. At the core of it, they're not just saying, "Let's play." What they're really asking is, "Am I still your number one?" It's not about being mean or spiteful. It comes from wanting to feel secure, to know they still have your heart. And in that moment, guarding the toy isn't about the toy at all. It's about you. Sign number 7. They develop new bad habits like barking or whining. When your dog suddenly starts barking, whining, or acting up the moment you give attention to another pet, it's not just them being dramatic. They're trying to shift your focus, making noise to pull your attention back where they want it, on them. Over time, they've figured out that these little outbursts get a reaction. It's not random, it's a tactic. They're feeling a little left out, and this is their way of trying to win back your attention and feel reassured of their place in your heart. And underneath the noise, there's a vulnerable truth. It's not just jealousy, it's a quiet need to feel secure in your love. These behaviors may test your patience, but at their core, they're driven by a simple hope, to know they still matter, even when your affection is being shared. Has your dog ever tried to speak to you this way? Sign number 8. They stare at you. It's the kind of jealousy that doesn't make a sound. No barking, no whining, just a quiet, steady gaze. You'll notice it when you're petting the other animal or giving someone else your attention. Your dog doesn't look angry, just focused. Eyes locked on you, barely blinking, like they're waiting for something. Not everyone catches it. But if you really tune in, it's there. That look isn't about starting drama. It's not a tantrum, it's emotion. Dogs form deep, loyal bonds, and when they see that connection being shared, even for a moment, it can shake their confidence. They're not trying to guilt you or stir up trouble. It's just their way of asking, "Am I still your favorite?" A little eye contact, a soft pat on the head, that's often all they need to feel secure again. Sign number 9. They ignore or avoid the other pet when you're around, but play when you're not. Jealousy in dogs sometimes shows up in quiet ways. You might see your dog ignore the other pet completely when you're around. Maybe they turn their head, walk away, or act like the other animal doesn't even exist. But the moment you step out of the room, they're suddenly playing together like best friends. This kind of behavior isn't really directed at the other pet. It's your dog's quiet way of showing they've noticed the shift in attention and they're not comfortable with it. And if you want more heartfelt videos like this, about the way dogs love, feel, and connect, don't forget to subscribe and be part of our growing community of dog lovers.